Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Deepak Bhavani. I'm a senior analyst in data and business. I have around 8 years of experience working on top of that. And prior to that, I was into sales and marketing on the business side. Basically, you can consider me as a guy who understands business in terms of sales and marketing, and also in terms of data as a data analyst. So that's a quick intro about me. And I would love to thank Mr. David for hosting this great webinar at DBI, where we can discuss more about the products and how we can make AI work for us. We are focusing today on talk with your data. That's the main agenda today. So basically, how you can make yourself talk to the data instead of waiting for any insights and making your decision making little longer. So how you can make sure that you safely can talk with your data is the whole agenda. And we are going to use a couple of tools in order to do so. And we're going to deep dive into that tools and how to use those tools and how it can benefit our decision making process little faster. Going to next slide. So the first question any marketer in current world will have is like, do you know what worked from the last week's campaign? Is there anything that we really need to know? The honest answer would be from most marketers, yes, absolutely I know, because I have a data analysis team who has really worked hard to present me the insights about the campaigns. And also, even further, our data analysis team is really strong. And what they have done is they have made some automation around it so that I can get a regular updates on top of that, etc. So yes, we all agree for that. We have done that great job all through years. I mean, like from the birth of a SQL Server, making sure that data is properly arranged, and then Power BI or Tableau, which can visually show us what is the data, etc. From there to here, we are great. But my real question is here. What you can see here, the time, the data silos, budget. So 3 words which I really want to focus today. And I want you to think as a marketer. The first question is, how much time have we spent building these reports and dashboards? Is it something reusable? Are we creating it again and again after each and every campaign? So that's the first question. And it clearly tells us like how much a person, data analysis team, or somebody is spending to create this beautiful reports and dashboards working on top of that. And then second question is, let's say you have thrown a campaign for your client. For example, I take a chocolate company who wants to push their new product, which they launched for the past Easter. And you have launched those campaigns into different social media channels like Google, LinkedIn, some other TikTok, etc., etc. Now, from those campaigns, you have spent a lot of budget, a lot of money, making sure that you have perfectly targeted your audience to go to the nearest store or place the order via e-commerce systems or something. Now, my simple question is, how do you consolidate the complete data? Do you have a system? Or if you have a system in place, how effective is it? How can you negotiate and understand that this is working fine for me, let me put more budget here. This is not working for me, let me pull back some budget from there. Right? The data is coming from different sources and you want to consolidate it as soon as possible and understand what is working and what is not. Data silos. The third point is budget. When we are working with the budget, we don't want to exhaust the budget on one channel. We want to understand how each and every channel is working for us. So we don't want to overspend on the wrong KPIs that we really didn't care about it. So when I am targeting for larger audience, I don't want somebody to go and buy. I want a reach. Am I exhausting my budget in that case? How do you know that? Is it like the teams that you have, are they creating the right attempt to put you through the right insights at the right time so that you can make the right decisions faster? That's the question. So the first question what I have asked is, do you know what worked? Absolutely, you know. But the thing is, what's the time frame? To answer that simple question, I just want to go a little deeper in our understanding so that if somebody is not really understanding what I'm trying to talk, so they can also understand. Maybe they haven't have the sophisticated system, but they know they are working this process. You have been working on, let's say, on YouTube. That means the data is stored in the Google Analytics. That's the raw data. We get that data, and the data analyst team works hard enough to sort the data and make sure they arrange it properly as per their needs, and then finally create a beautiful visualization dashboard. Once the dashboard is created, they will understand this is how it's working. Then they will be able to put you through a beautiful story saying that, hey, this is how it worked. Why don't you take this decision? This is my recommendation, etc. But to make this whole process, as you can see, from decluttering the Lego pieces there and then arranging them and making sure you understand what sort of Lego bricks you have, and to build a house, it takes time. Similarly, the data analysis job also takes more time to put things forward. So if that's the case, then what is the solution for it? I guess we have nailed the solution as of now, and that's what DBI or ABIS can claim right now. And this is how I can put things forward in front of you. This is a straight up comparison. Without AI, somebody or some team is working on top of it. With AI or with LLM, let's consider as the same term, ABIS plus LLM. So this is a tool that we use, which I'll introduce a little later. But let's understand what is the difference now. Collection of data, it takes minutes for ABIS and LLM. But without AI, it takes 3 to 4 hours because you'll have a large set of data which you need to take it, report into accounting, and you don't know where and all you have to go, different sources, get it down and put it in the folder structure, etc., etc. And then once you have the data sets, we need to work on the cleaning part because not any data comes really clean, honestly. So the data analysis team definitely know how hard it is to clean and make it structured so that it can be useful to build the reporting structure. It takes 4 to 6 hours, but in our case, it's minutes. Then building a report. This is where the switch happens, where every team needs a smart thinker to build the reporting, because it's not the unnecessary KPIs that I am trying to follow. They need to understand the business and they have to put the reporting in a right path. So that's where even the AI takes more than minutes. So where we have written 30 minutes because we need to pass on all the business information to AI so that it can make right calls for us. Finally, insights and actions. So that's in your hands where you can take the decision straight up. So as you can see, without the AI, it's almost a day or 2 or 3 as well in most of the cases. But what we have taken is the industry average, which is 2 to 3 days to build a decent enough dashboard. So your decision will be definitely next day, not today. You lose time. That means you have wasted your budget on something not worth enough, right? That's where we are trying to show you in the next slides or next demo session how this tool can be useful for you and your team. My next question would be like, yeah, this is all fine. How about you asking a question to your data analyst team and asking a question to AI, which is trained for you to work for you? Simple question here is, why did our conversion rate drop last Tuesday? I guess all the marketers know what is conversion rate and how it works for us. And why did it drop on Tuesday? You saw the dip after the visualization. But do we know the dip, why it happened on Tuesday? So yeah, again, the data analysis team has to go back and do the root cause analysis and understand what really it caused it. There can be 2, 3 different various reasons, and some of the reasons are obsolete, which is not useful, and there can be 1 or 2 reasons which why it has caused. So here you can see you can have a conversational bot working for you where you can ask a quick question and it can reply. And this is not the end of the story. So you can really double check, again asking the same question, or you can make more stressful questions to the AI to let you know why it thinks that way. It has given answer saying that there is landing page loading time exceeded 4 seconds. So people doesn't want to wait, right? I don't want to wait. I mean, like when I click the button, I don't want it to like just circling around 4 seconds just to give me the landing page. I'll just skip away. So it has taken more than 4 seconds. That means there is some issue in the loading or technical stuff, which the website development team has taken care of, but they haven't. So that's where the age bar, like 25 to 34, which is our age for this particular campaign, has moved on. So then we have to do something about it. So we can drill down the questions and we can make sure that AI responds to you till you get a meaningful answer, which you can put it in your reports. You can ask me right now, like saying that, hey, You said I can talk to the AI. That means how safe I am. Am I giving all my data to AI so that it can make calls for me, which I cannot do? That's against our policy. Absolutely. That's where we are coming with our tool, which is nothing but ABIS MCP Server, which you can consider like a burger. I'll explain in detail right now. So yeah, I guess everybody loves burger and they have eaten in their life once, at least once. So here it is. The cloud AI is the top bun and your data is the bottom bun. And MCP server is the patty that comes in the between. So basically, if you see, the patty doesn't let touch upper bun or the bottom bun. They get their beautiful taste when you take a bite, right? Together, not alone. So that's what happens here. So the bottom layer is your data, which is coming from different sources. Let it be Power BI, if you have built a dashboard already, or if you have dash in the Power BI, or it can be LinkedIn directly, or it can be Google Analytics Manager, anything. So that's the data source. MCP layer is the layer which is like a gateway to pass on the data that is required for the cloud. So basically, it can dictate the terms what data can go to cloud and what data cannot go to cloud. So that's the barrier. Finally, the cloud, which does the beautiful work for us. Yeah, it doesn't have access to your data. And most importantly, this is all handled by the ABIS following the GDPR regulations. So further to this, I have a beautiful demo by David. Yeah, David, I'll pass it on to you where you can show us the LinkedIn performance.
Okay, so I have this Power BI dashboard here, which is my primary data source for this demo. I will also explain why it's so important to not directly query Google Analytics or Search Console or whatever you name it. The problem is the agent will have to guess by best feeling or by the context it picks at the moment, the query itself. And it's not deterministic, which can lead to false numbers and wrong assumptions. And this is something that I experienced yesterday when testing this out. One example was I instructed the agent to query directly this model without using a fixed measure, which is a KPI calculated in Power BI. I can show you in a short. Therefore, it gave me a table which every keyword has the same count of impressions, which is obviously false. So it made a mistake and it even thought and it sold me this result as a good insight. I was like, no, sorry, there's something wrong. So what I did is I instructed the agent to strictly use only the calculated measures, which you can see here. So these are some measures that I created. So it has a structure. It says, okay, take this sum of this column and divide it through another one. And with this deterministic approach, the results were basically perfect. So we can work in production with this stuff beyond fancy demos that I see a lot in LinkedIn at the moment, where I wonder who's really working with this in production. I guess not so much. So I have Claude here on the right side, and what I will do is I will open the ABIS tool, which is a desktop application. It was built with web technologies. It runs on Windows, Mac, Linux, you name it. Of course, on Mac OS and on Linux, it's difficult to run with Power BI, but if you don't need Power BI and if you want to analyze something else, it's perfectly available for other OS as well. Password here, so I get a secure database. This is my blank project. And what I'm gonna do now is I will basically create my first workspace, just a container for scoped knowledge graph. Each workspace has versions of graph. So for example, when I now load in my Power BI model, which is this version here, if I change something in this version, the knowledge graph will be updated and I will have a new version. Okay, so let me show you around about this structure first. When I save this project here, I can save it either as a PBIX file, which will contain the data, or I can store it as a TMDL or project file, which means I get this model BIM file. And this stuff contains all the metadata. So I can just open it quickly so you can see how this looks like. So you see there's a lot of JSON stuff in here, a lot of nested objects. And with ABIS, I can just simply load this into my graph. and I hope it works. Should. Tested it so much. Okay, so what you see here is basically the knowledge graph from this dashboard here, containing all the connections, the lineage between the columns. So for example, if you see here are the columns that are connected to some tables, and this table has this columns, and this table is also connected with this table. So I tried really to model every single connection from every entity, this is very important, inside of this knowledge graph to give it a meaning. So we have different properties, for example, DAX expressions on different nodes. We can even enrich the nodes. This is something more advanced, which I can show in next sessions. But in general, we basically have, okay, we know we have the visuals here. The visuals are connected to a report page. So I can see this report page, for example. CEO dashboard has this visuals here. So it has a multi-card, this stuff, right? So you can see each node basically is connected to this SEO dashboard because it's part of it. So this is how a knowledge graph basically can be read. For a human, it's quite annoying to read this. It's not so easy. I mean, you can filter it, you can look for stuff. For example, if you want to look for some slicers or whatever, you can do this, but I would not recommend to use this graph by hand because it's quite complex for a human to grasp. But for an AI, it's awesome. So we came up with this. Okay, so now I have my data here, and what I can do next is I will run you through an interesting workflow. So before I do this, I have 2 Excel files that I need to analyze as well. So the story is my colleague created a LinkedIn post proposal draft for the next week. Me, as a marketing manager, I received the draft, and now I'm wondering, is it really the stuff that my audience wants to see? Do I have the numbers? I mean, I can see it here in this dashboard. I can see the topics and all of that, but how can I challenge now basically this marketing plan from my colleague to bring it into a real data-driven approach? Because all the data-driven buzzwords is like, okay, we do AI or we do data-driven. 2 years ago, I don't hear data-driven anymore. But if you purely want to do it data-driven, you have to get the insights and you have to match it with the marketing plan, with the marketing strategy that you have to make your assumptions fact-proven, so to say. I mean, you can still work on creativity because marketing is, of course, also more creativity and stuff, but it's good for companies, and the numbers and the studies show that if you work data-driven, especially in performance marketing, you reach better results, like a higher conversion rate, a higher click-through rate, and so on. So what I will do is I will just open the meta files, because with ABIS, everything is local. It owns not the cloud, it's owned by you. And then I will just copy in this data sources here. So I have one plan, which is the content plan, and it's not complete yet. And I have a GDPR sample list of leads where I say, okay, this kinds of leads, this is what I had in the past, and it's very cool. And I want some leads like this for my next social media LinkedIn campaign. There's also some confidential fields that are not GDPR compliant to analyze. I put this in so I can show you why the system is so powerful, because if you now just put the Excel files into Claude, you basically upload the data into the cloud. I'm pretty sure that some people even don't know what they upload from a company to their private ChatGPT, which is quite critical, and you can get fired for this. So I would never recommend someone to do that. So before we start, we create a rule. This rule says we can analyze data from marketing. That's no issue. But certain data that is GDPR critical cannot be analyzed. We create this rule and we wait a little bit until this is created. So here it plans the rule. Okay. This system is a gatekeeper. If you don't know what AI gatekeepers are, Google it, look it up, look some videos on YouTube. It's the future that is more bright for the human. The human is still in control, and it's in control of what AI cannot do is rewrite his own rules. So the human will always be in charge. If we want to see the rules now, we can go to this sheet. You see a couple of rules here. You see SOPs, you see some blockers, you see some classifiers. All of this stuff basically was, I would call it pain in the ass, because every single rule that I created here was debugging through getting the agent productive to migrate my Power BI reports here, for example. So this is a pretty nice rule because it says, okay, this is the best practice how you create calculated measures which have division. So if you look here into this, I have always divide as a function. I can also write it differently, but I will not give a DAX talk now, but it's just to show you what it does and why it does it. Why it's so important is that you can write it in a different ways. You can write it with the backslash and the divisor, but it's not performant. So the best practice is to use the function for it. So you reach better results in loading time and so on and so on. And when a developer is building a report with AI and he doesn't know it, he will basically mess it up. And he will mess it up so hard that, of course, the dashboard looks nice. Of course, the people will use it, but then we will have some problems when it scales. And at that point, we have to rework everything. So I've been there. I've done that. It costs a lot of money, costs a lot of time. And in the end, the AI gained nothing for you. The only advantage is that you maybe have a use case that is already established and the people like it and you know what to refactor. But in the end, you lose money if you don't do it right up front. So I created those rules to be correct up front. Here you can see now the GDPR rule was created. So it has examples of fields that are not compliant and it has examples of fields that are compliant. Great. Now let's go back to this beautiful graph. The next phase is to ask the AI to basically provide me the capabilities of my analytical dashboard. It means what questions can I ask on this data and on these measures, because you cannot ask every question. You will not end up with 42 at the end. You have a system where you basically have a scope of questions that you can ask. And right now I want to challenge this by asking the AI, okay, please give me the scope of my analytical capabilities. And we will do this right now.
So just to be clear here, Dave, are we working with the same data set that we have in the Power BI?
Yes. So for example, if I want to look this measure, which is job function, this one here, it's used in this table. In two tables, it's basically linked to a report or something. And this measure is calculated from impressions and clicks.
So in that case, I can think like the burger menu that I gave, you are using Power BI's data as a data source, and then the cloud is working on my data, but ABIS is in the middle as a layer between them.
Exactly. So the idea is that you have different MCP servers. The one connects to the Power BI, the other one basically connects to ABIS directly. And if you want to imagine it, you can just imagine it like you have a database where you put all your context in, where you put all your briefing files in. You put it into SharePoint. Are you really serious about that? Is it up to date? Is it maybe outdated? On SharePoint, you have dozens of files that could be the answer, but it can be wrong as well. So managing your context can be kind of difficult. Honestly, I don't know how else I would manage this complexity here, especially in BI, where you have to be 100% precise on the data quality, which is always my goal to reach. And you cannot afford some sloppy answers, because all of the insights you generate, and with AI you can generate fast insights, can lead to wrong decisions. And this is something that, oh my God, if you have a wrong decision and you don't know it, then you might assume, oh, I have money, and then IRC comes and then says, oh, no, you don't have money because we will take it. And this is something, everybody knows it. AI is super hyped. Everybody looks nice demos, but in the end, who will really work with this? I believe you need something to manage your context, and context graph, a knowledge graph is the best way, in my opinion. to manage
Mm-hmm.
complex context of AI, of Power BI and business intelligence. Yes. I don't know any other tool to
Correct.
do this. I don't know.
Great to know. Great to know. Understood. Understood. So, in
So,
Crisp, if I want to ask you one more question on top of this.
sure.
So, as you said earlier, I have a chat GPT, and I have a pro subscription. Why not I use that to make this analysis? Why I have to use the cloud? What is the major difference you will tell me? Like, why I have to use this? Just simply why?
So to be honest, when I started working with ChatGPT when it came out, I was quite impressed. At the moment, I only use it for some research and stuff. Before I was like, okay, what is Claude? Why I need this? Then someone told me, hey, Dave, you should look at the MCP stuff. It's exactly what we need. And then I got the feedback from Carl, hey, this is cool for the lineage, but I'm not able to read the graph. And then I thought, why not combine this with agents, an MCP server? Because it's a direct connection for the agent. The agent has surrounded by the context that I want to feed with him into his brain in the moment I need it. So to organize all of this stuff, I don't use spreadsheets. I don't use skills. I don't use any documents. I use a context database which can hold the data and the transitions of the data over time. It can maybe also delete outdated data, and therefore I can keep it clean, like my personal knowledge vault, so to say. That's why I move away from ChatGPT, Gemini, and all of that to this direction. I mean, for other use cases like coding, cursors is the thing to do, or Copilot, or Claude Code is also pretty cool. But for BI, you really need actual correct data. And this is something that, I mean, the metadata to manage is not easy, but it's the path to fully automated systems. So if you don't do this, you can do it manually by copy paste and you will still lose a lot of time. Okay, so
thank you so much.
Here we have now the topic clusters, which is giving me information what questions I can ask. I have basically LinkedIn ads that run into analytics engine, and I can create a content plan and optimizations on top of it. It gave me some questions that I can do, and I can start asking the first one. Let me check this one.
Okay, while it's happening, to summarize your answer, I can say why we cannot use any AI. For instance, let's say ChatGPT or Gemini is one, as you said, we don't have MCP in between. And then that means like we are sharing our data across to the AIs. And and moreover, the AI is not built as an agentic AI, which works for us, but it'll be a generic AI.
I mean,
Am I correct
there was a lot
terms?
of trend to move everything to the cloud, to go into browser, to log in. You have your sessions, all of that. But I think there will be a major shift on that because, as I said before, if you do some studies, if you do some research, if you create some marketing material, who cares what information you put in there? Of course, you should not put confidential information in there, but some do. But in general, I think it will go more, especially when I look at the clients that we work with, like, for example, Siemens or someone from Pharma and other companies. They will never allow people from the employee to work with public APIs, with their private ChatGPT to copy paste data, which is highly confidential in some cases. They want everything local. And it makes absolutely sense that when you work in enterprise, that's why Claude or Anthropic is basically entering and conquering the enterprise segment. And Microsoft will have to look out for that, in my opinion. It goes back to the local approach. You can do it on your computer. You can even run your LLM on the computer, or you get it from the IT department in the company. So that's why I also decided to create a desktop app. Everybody creates beautiful web applications. I say no, I go back to the roots. I create a desktop app because the person can own its data. It's his personal vault. Everything is stored locally. Nothing is stored outside the system. It not even leaves the system. So this is basically the highest security approach I can do, is not sending information somewhere else, keeping it close in a box on my computer. Yeah. I mean, for collaboration,
thank you so much for
of course, there's something else what you need. But yeah, for now, if you're an engineer and you just want to get this stuff done, locally is the best.
So what you meant to say is like everything stays in our computer, like basically your computer since you're doing right now?
Yes.
That's good to know. Okay, so it doesn't leave the computer, the critical data.
I mean, so it will prepare this graph a little bit. It takes some time. So maybe if you want to jump into your slide, we can look into the
Sure.
data protection stuff, and then I can show the result of this analysis afterwards.
So since we were using cloud, how the safety is taken care, or how my data is safe and how compliant it is. I can put things in like 4 pieces here. First thing is local first architecture. I guess like when Mr. Dave has opened his folder structure, you would have seen the metadata where it has stored, and it's growing bigger and bigger. Every time you interact with the cloud, it's not that every critical data is passed to the cloud. Only the metadata is passed, and then it works only with that, not the critical data. That means it's a local first architecture. That means it doesn't leave your network. Next, full audit trial. So that means for every action that is performed by you or your teammates or somebody else, everything is recorded and who has done it at what time. So everything is under the track. Next, important thing, which we were stressing from the start, the ABIS tool makes sure that you are GDPR compliant and you are built for EU regulations so that you don't need to pay a bigger fines when somebody finds out that you are using a pro version or some other version of GPTs or LLMs or AIs to make sure that you win the hearts of your client. That's where MCP Server comes, especially ABIS MCP Server comes and becomes a bridge in between the AI and your data. Finally, so you can define your access rights of your team, what they can see, what they can do, what they cannot, because working with AI sometimes will be harmful, even in the internal teams. So that's where you can decide who can do what, or we can set it up for you if you don't have any infrastructure. So just not to misunderstood what ABIS is, I have put up this slide. So what ABIS does and what it does not do. First thing, ABIS is a secure MCP server, which I called it as a bridge between AI layer and your data. So that's what I have seen. And since it becomes like a bridge, it can control the flow as well. Just like a dam bridge where you see the flow of water. So you set the governance layer there, what data can pass through, what data cannot, and what kind of rules I can set up so that it can act accordingly to whatever the needs I have or my client needs, etc. So persistent memory, that means when you're doing all the steps one by one, it has its own memory. That means once you do, it remembers what you have done earlier. Maybe it can give you some suggestions that you have done earlier like this. Maybe you want to follow, or based on the previous historical data, I can work like this. So you don't need to train again and again and again. Once you train, if you're working with the same client, already your rules are in place, your governance layer is in place, then it's just a new campaign. Everything will be more faster than ever before. Finally, it has a live data reporting engine. That means, as you know, just like an automation, but the automation shows you insights. Here, it lets you chat with the chatbot to get the real decision-making insights in a jiffy. So finally, what it is not, the ABIS is not a AI. It is a bridge between the data and the AI. So it makes you interact with the AI safe and sound. And most important thing that I want to really, really stress is like, we are not here to replace your BI tools or data analyst team or data analyst. We are here to accelerate them. Simply put, you have a data analyst team who is working hard for you to make sure that they give the better insights. But unfortunately, they are sometimes stuck in 30 zone, sometimes stuck in city traffic, or sometimes they are faster going from point A to point B, let's say like Munich to Berlin, but via only the country roads. But here, ABIS comes where it has its own autobahn along with the AI, so make your journey faster and have the better decision-making capability.
So can you see my screen? basically on this question, which blog topics drove the most organic impressions and clicks, Ad-hoc dashboard. The numbers are looking quite well. So I know this because I always check it online. Then I can check the performance, the top 15, top 20, so on. I know the click-through rates for MCP server Claude. They are quite high. Star schema modeling is also something that drove a lot of users from the past. Webinar is something that I should focus on, and so on. So to make this even more interesting, I can now ask, okay, hey, is this a good number or is it a bad number? So I can set myself in competition with the industry to get a comparison if this is basically a good or not a good number. So now it will search the web for typical sources on this stuff. Then it will synthesize the industry benchmarks and run a comparison with my data. This is something, anyway, just to tell you from my experience. Often I was asked by the business owners and by the managers, hey, Dave, nice report, nice Excel file, nice PowerPoint, but is it good, the number? Is it bad? How can we read it? I mean, we see the trends, but we don't know if it's good or not. Here I, for example, see now the honest truth is my average CTR rate is 0.61. In B2B tech, it's usually 3 to 7. So I definitely need some improvement. And here it is.
Interesting.
So I can prioritize query editor to drive more.
I guess this is the extra benefit that if we use this particular tool, that we don't really rely on creating our own dashboards, but you can compare with the real industry standards as well, that which we don't get the data, I guess.
Yes. So this is the nice thing. I can even mix it now with data from the internet and also give me the sources so I can recheck if it's good or not. Okay. What should I do next? I can infer a persona group because my plan is now to basically understand, okay, I'm not good or I have room for improvement for sure. The problem in marketing is often I have to match my content with the audience, so to say. So first I want to understand who is my audience. And for this, I will basically inference the personas based on this confidential lead list that I had previously. And now we give it a field test and we will hopefully see that it will not query the GDPR critical stuff before. So here it will look now into the meta files to look for the Excel, found the Excel. Now it will read the Excel file with the GDPR rules applied.
Hey,
I can
that's
also
fantastic.
monitor every single call here in this list to
So this comes
control
under the bucket of
the
audit
results.
trial, maybe?
Yes, but for complex stuff like this, you definitely need someone who's in charge. Imagine you're working at the airport and you let OpenClaw do all the navigation system of the planes. I'm not sure if you would do that at the moment. So you still rely on people who will take the ownership, who will take the responsibility for the decisions. And this is something that I think is still very crucial in today's phase of AI adoption. So basically it provides me or the marketing team a full analysis of the next posts as a proposal and the actual post itself, which pretty much looks good so far when I read this. But let's see the final result. You see here again, I opened a new chat. It picked up the stuff from before and it worked directly, you see. Not so much analysis anymore because already in place. That's also important if you create workflows like this. You should think about how will the AI create up his context window. You have to basically think about it like a story that you tell. In marketing, there was a buzzword a few years ago, or maybe it's still a buzzword, I don't know. They call it analytics story. So you have to tell basically a story of your data so someone else can understand it, which is awesome with AI now because you can basically just query it on a level of questions you have all the context available and so on. When it's validated, it's great stuff. And on the other side as well, if you take this as a workflow, and if you want to basically, for example, if you have a team of people who do reporting every day for different clients, and it costs a lot of time and effort, and the data is always different, and you have to check it and all of that, then you have to create insights from it. Can be overwhelming over time. So what you can do with this solution, you can basically create a single model like this model here. You can put in all your clients' data. So for example, you have 10 clients. Every client has Google Analytics. Every client has LinkedIn. Everyone has Facebook maybe and Twitter and whatnot. And you can put everything in one model, and then you can scale this analytical stuff. For each client, you can just run your prompts commands like I have here. So this workflow now, when I improve it further, I can run it for every client I have, no matter what. And yeah, okay, this is the result. Let's have a look. Okay, so this is the gap that we have to solve. There's some title hooks that I can give to my colleague and some timings that it should be posted, some hashtags. So it proposes agentic decks. Nice. Most expensive sentence, and we will do it in Excel first. Okay. I like this humor. It's funny. The real reasons your KPIs never match. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. That's also interesting. Microsoft Fabric versus legacy lakehouse structure, direct lake. 5 signs your BI platform is actively holding you back. 90 days legacy fabric migration playbook. Here's some prompts to create some media assets as well. Yeah, I think it's something that can inspire someone on a social media team to create, to move on into a new direction. So basically, my job as a head of marketing is nearly done. I have the posts, I have the Excel, and what I can do now is I will summarize it. This will be the final challenge. And then I create a PDF, and then I send it to my social media team. Okay, let's do this, and then we are good. For this, I have a reporting server, which you can see here. And now it will basically create a template. Okay, next time I need more time for the demo. Guys, it's not so easy to get this thing running, I can tell you. My experience is, at the moment when we work with the clients, 25% is basically what I can truly, with a good heart, say can be automated with AI, but not more. So 25% of the work, which is basically just executing stuff or saving some time, copy pasting measures and so on. For this, it's good. For analysis like this, it's also pretty good, because me as an architect or someone who has to plan a complete content strategy, it usually take days to do this. Yes, sir. That's pretty cool. So within 1 hour of a little bit hustle, a little bit restart, I would say, yeah, second try worked. In some cases, also first try worked. So we still have an error tolerance, of course, but imagine that what we reached in 1 hour. I mean, everybody who worked in marketing knows that creating a complete content plan with over 16 posts, okay, it's not much, but it still takes time. Creating all of this in 1 single hour with data-driven approach, with an analysis before, with the persona mapping before, with the cluster analysis, I would say 1 hour is pretty good for it. And a whole slide deck comes in hand with it, with the strategy and the insights. I mean, that's pretty fast. So we worked 1 hour. We compressed basically 1 week of research and planning into 1 single hour, I guess. Wow.
Finally, I just want to close this great presentation and demo by DBI with one beautiful thought. So what it means for all of us as a tech entrepreneurs or marketing people or technology guys or AI enthusiasts. So basically 1 AI, so that every marketing channel needs, and 1 conversation. So you chat and you get the results. Basically, you be safe doing that, so that your data is not going around and AI not spreading around your data and your insights and your ability to do the better insights. So basically, it gives a quick turnaround on queries. You don't need to wait for a day to take a better decision, which leads to better traffic in the website or social media, and then high performance. So which I guess all the marketers are trained to do, and you have been doing it for a long time. And even you can train your AI agents to create a deck for your client because it knows all about the client's data and how it's performing. So you can directly get the deck in minutes. Finally, if you have any questions, please ask or post or kindly ping Mr. David or visit DBI Analytics website for more information. But final thoughts of mine is simple. So all we have to remember as a marketers is when we are waiting for our Monday morning report or Tuesday morning report, whenever you have your complete reports that data analysis team gives you, somebody is making additions ahead of us. So what I want you to think in your mind is, so your competitors are still waiting for Monday's report. You could be the person who can act on the data on Friday's data or Thursday's data whenever you launch a campaign. So just think about it and act along with that. Finally, I have a couple of appendix slides which will be recorded and which will be useful for you to understand better. I'm not going to go deep dive into it, but yeah, please scan or go to dbi analytics.de/meet to book a call with us so that we can have a decent enough chat with you and your team members so that we can make a better decisions and calls. Thank you so much. I'll stop sharing my screen. Thank you so much for your time, all of you.